Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you lost something, even though nobody touched you? Maybe it happened after a meeting where someone questioned your abilities. Maybe it was a sarcastic comment from a family member that stayed in your mind long after everyone else had forgotten it. Or maybe it was a stranger online who somehow ruined an entire evening with a few careless words. The strange part is this: it wasn't the insult that followed you home. It was your own mind replaying it over and over again. Most people believe strength means having the perfect comeback, the sharper reply, the louder voice, the final word. But if that were true, why do so many arguments leave us exhausted instead of empowered? Why does winning a debate often feel like losing our peace? The Stoics noticed something most people never do. Every insult presents two different battles. One happens outside you. The other happens within. The first one usually lasts only a few seconds. The second can last for days, months, sometimes even years. And almost nobody realizes they're fighting the wrong one. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor discovered a way to end that inner battle before it ever began. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't emotional suppression. It wasn't pretending not to care. It was a completely different way of seeing human behavior. Once you understand it, insults begin to lose the power you unknowingly gave them. Today we're going to explore that perspective, because real freedom isn't found in controlling other people's words. It's found in becoming someone whose peace can no longer be borrowed by anyone else. Why we keep falling into the same trap. Think about how quickly your mood can change. One email, one dismissive look, one comment from your boss, one comparison on social media. Suddenly, your entire day feels different. Nothing in your actual life has changed. Your bills are the same. Your family is the same. Your future is the same. Yet your emotional world has been turned upside down by someone else's opinion. This is the trap. Most of us spend our lives believing our emotions are caused by what people do. In reality, much of our suffering begins a moment later when we start creating stories around what happened. They don't respect me. I have to prove myself. I can't let them think they won. Without noticing it, we hand strangers the keys to our emotional state. And once they have those keys, every criticism feels personal. Every disagreement feels like an attack. Every misunderstanding becomes a threat to our identity. Look at modern life. People argue in comment sections with individuals they'll never meet. Employees lose sleep over conversations their managers have already forgotten. Friends quietly compete with each other because of carefully edited photos on social media. The world keeps inviting us to react, and reaction has become a habit. But habits can become prisons. The more often we react without thinking, the easier it becomes for other people to predict us. Soon, we're no longer choosing our responses. We're simply repeating them. That is why so many people feel emotionally exhausted. Not because life is impossible, but because they've allowed every outside voice to become an inside command. The Stoic perspective that changes everything. The Stoics approached this problem from an unexpected direction. Instead of asking, "How do I stop difficult people?" they asked, "Why should another person's behavior decide the condition of my mind?" That single question changes everything. Imagine someone criticizing your work. Your first instinct may be to defend yourself immediately, to explain, to justify, to prove your worth. But what if you paused for just one moment? What if, instead of treating criticism as a verdict, you treated it as information? Information can be examined. It doesn't have to be obeyed. If there's truth in it, you've discovered something valuable. If there isn't, Nothing meaningful has been taken from you. Your character remains exactly where it was before the conversation began. This is why the Stoics valued inner judgment more than public approval. The crowd changes its opinions every day. Your principles shouldn't. That doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean allowing disrespect. It simply means refusing to let emotion make your decisions before wisdom has a chance to speak. Think of a mountain during a storm. The wind is loud. The rain is relentless. Clouds hide the sky. Yet the mountain never argues with the weather. It simply remains what it is. The Stoics believed the human mind could become like that. Not cold, not emotionless, simply rooted deeply enough that temporary storms no longer determined its direction. Because the greatest victory isn't proving someone else wrong. It's refusing to become someone you no longer recognize just to win a moment that will soon be forgotten. A historical story that proves the philosophy. History remembers Marcus Aurelius as one of Rome's greatest emperors. But history often leaves out how difficult his life really was. He ruled during years of war. A deadly plague spread across the empire. Political betrayal surrounded him. Trusted friends disappointed him. Every day brought another crisis demanding his attention. Yet the words he wrote to himself were surprisingly quiet. He didn't write about revenge. He didn't dream of humiliating his enemies. He didn't complain about how unfair life had become. Instead, he kept returning to one simple reminder. You cannot control what happens. You can only govern how you respond. Imagine carrying the weight of an empire while waking each morning, knowing another problem was waiting. Most of us become frustrated when traffic makes us late. When a co-worker ignores our ideas. When someone leaves a rude comment online. Marcus Aurelius faced problems that affected millions of lives. Still, he understood something timeless. Chaos outside does not have to become chaos inside. That doesn't mean he never felt fear or frustration. It means he refused to let those emotions become his ruler. His journal, never intended for public eyes, reveals a man constantly training his own mind before trying to lead anyone else. That may be the greatest lesson he left behind. Leadership begins with self-leadership. Before you manage your career, your family, or your reputation, learn to manage your own thoughts. Because every difficult day gives you two choices. You can let circumstances shape your character, or you can let your character shape the way you experience those circumstances. The second path is slower, harder, but it is the only one that leads to lasting peace. The biggest misunderstanding about Stoicism. Many people hear the word Stoicism and imagine someone with no emotions. A person who never smiles, never cries, never gets hurt. That picture couldn't be further from the truth. The Stoics were never trying to become less human. They were trying to become less controlled. There's a difference. Ignoring your emotions is not strength. Burying your pain is not wisdom. Pretending nothing affects you only pushes those feelings deeper, where they quietly influence your decisions without your permission. Real Stoicism begins by acknowledging what you feel. Anger, disappointment, fear, jealousy. They are natural visitors. But visitors should not become permanent residents. Think about someone who receives harsh criticism at work. One person explodes immediately. Another forces a fake smile while secretly carrying resentment for weeks. Neither response creates freedom. The Stoic chooses a third path. Pause. Observe. Separate the emotion from the action. Only then decide what deserves a response. This approach doesn't remove emotion. It restores choice. And choice is where freedom begins. The strongest people aren't those who never feel pressure. They're the ones who refuse to let pressure decide who they become. Stoicism isn't emotional silence. It's emotional discipline. Not because feelings are dangerous, but because an undisciplined reaction often causes more damage than the original event ever could, training your mind every single day. Mental strength isn't built during life's biggest storms. It's built in ordinary moments most people overlook. The way you respond when someone interrupts you. The way you handle unexpected delays. The thoughts you entertain while scrolling through social media. These small moments quietly become your character. The Stoics understood that the mind is trained the same way the body is, through repetition, not perfection. Start with one simple habit. Create a pause before every important reaction. It doesn't need to be long. One deep breath. 5 seconds of silence. A single question. What response will I respect tomorrow? That brief pause interrupts the automatic version of yourself. Another practice is to expect inconvenience before it arrives. Not because life is hopeless, but because life is unpredictable. If traffic appears, you remain calm. If plans change, you adapt. If someone disappoints you, you recover faster. Preparation softens surprise. Finally, end each day with quiet reflection. Ask yourself 3 questions. What disturbed my peace today? How did I respond? What will I do differently tomorrow? No guilt. No self-criticism. Only honest observation. Growth begins the moment excuses end. Over time, these small practices create something remarkable. People may still criticize you. Life will still be uncertain. Problems will still arrive without warning. But your mind no longer belongs to every passing event. It belongs to you. And that may be the greatest form of freedom a person can ever achieve. At the beginning of this video, we asked a simple question. Why do other people's words have so much power over us? By now, the answer is probably clearer. They don't. Not by themselves. Words are only sounds. Opinions are only opinions. What gives them power is the meaning we quietly attach to them. And that is something no one can do for us. Only we can. This is the lesson the Stoics spent their lives practicing. Not because they lived in a peaceful world, but because they didn't. They faced betrayal, loss, failure, illness, war. The circumstances were different. Human nature wasn't. 2,000 years later, we still wake up worrying about judgment. Still compare ourselves to strangers. Still carry conversations in our minds long after they have ended. Technology has changed. The human mind has not. Perhaps that is why Stoicism still feels so relevant today. It doesn't promise a life without pain. It offers something much more valuable. A mind that doesn't surrender every time pain arrives. So, the next time someone misunderstands you, the next time criticism finds its way into your day, or the next time life refuses to follow your plans, pause before you react. Ask yourself one question. Is this moment asking me to defend my ego or strengthen my character? That single question may change more than the outcome of one conversation. It may slowly change the person you become. Because character is not built during extraordinary moments. It is shaped by ordinary decisions made again and again, especially when no one is watching. If today's reflection gave you a new perspective, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What is one situation in your life where you could choose peace instead of reaction? Share it in the comments. Someone reading your story may realize they're not fighting alone. And if you're on a journey to build a calmer, stronger, and more resilient mind, consider subscribing. Every week, we explore timeless Stoic wisdom and translate it into practical lessons for modern life. Until next time, Remember this: the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. It's the one who can protect their inner peace without needing to prove their strength to anyone else.